Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H.Figuarts unboxing and review video. Now today we are going to be taking a look at the 4th form version of Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. Now this guy has seen more than a few re-releases. I think this might be the 3rd time we've received this particular mold for Frieza, but I'm still curious to see if they've made any notable changes. We will be doing comparisons back to the original version throughout the course of the video. Now I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is of course in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and an awesome reward system. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art, and it's done in the usual Dragon Ball Figuarts style. An open window showcasing Frieza inside, an image of him on the front of the box, a bunch more in grayscale on the side, and then of course a few more in various poses on the back of the box. I did notice something that's slightly alarming though. If we compare the box size to the previous version of Frieza, as you can see, the new one is significantly slimmer. And I'm now left sitting here wondering what has been cut out of this particular version. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. As for Frieza himself, I can already spot a few notable changes. As I said in the intro though, we will be doing some proper comparisons. What we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all the parts and pieces. Now while this guy does share the same mold as the second and first versions of this Frieza, he doesn't get all of the same accessories, unfortunately. You don't get the death beam, the death ball, the longer tail, or the dynamic flight stand. I would have loved to have seen them included here at the very least one of the blast effects, but I understand what they're doing. They're trying to preserve the integrity, the value, if you will, of the original releases. Now let's talk about the head sculpts. These are awesome, and they are a significant upgrade over the first 2 versions. What do I mean in saying that? Well, the sculpt is exactly the same, but there is now a ton more shading and a ton more detail printed on the surface. You can see all of the little lines, the eyes are a little bit sharper and slightly smaller. Overall, I just prefer the way the new head sculpts look. You do get 3 of them, and the smirking expression sculpt does have a hole on the top of his noggin for the halo, which of course can be removed. You also get some interchangeable feet. These are a carryover from the first version of this form of Frieza. He did come with this little rocky outcrop that you could have his feet perched on. This guy doesn't come with that, so I would have been perfectly fine if they'd omitted these feet in favor of one of the blast effects. You do, however, get the crossed arms for Frieza, so you can peg them in up at the shoulders. You will see this on him a little bit later in the video. You also get the swirly tail, which does peg into his back, and it is articulated. You also get what I'm pretty sure is a new version of the Namekian Dragon Balls. I could be wrong, and correct me if I am down in the comments below, but it's got this kind of metallic haze about it. I really like the way it looks, and the stars are printed on there very crisply. You also get a full array of gesturing hands as the Dragon Ball goes rolling around. They are all fully shaded and painted, although mine do have a little bit of excess flashing on most of them. Not the most professional look by Figuarts, and I would have preferred if they'd trimmed them up out of the factory. Something though that I can fix myself. What we are going to do now though is get Frieza himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him, standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And let me lay it out for you real quick. If you're sitting there right now trying to decide between spending more on the original release or picking up this guy for a lower price point, there is only one key reason that I can think of to do that. The original one comes with more effect pieces. If you're an accessory junkie and the main reason why you collect figures is to get the most amount of accessories possible, go with the original. It's still a really great option. If you want the best, most accurate version of Frieza to date, then I think you're looking at him right now. I like the darker tone to the flesh, I like the shading better, the purple metallic is stunning, and the head sculpts are far more accurate and more detailed. Hopefully that helped, and maybe it'll become more apparent as we do some comparisons throughout the video. What we are going to do now though is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. Now this guy is no spring chicken, there's no denying it, he is starting to get on in the years. Does that mean he's a horrible release? No, I don't think it does. It just goes to show if you do something right the first time around, you can definitely get your money's worth out of the mold. And for a final form Frieza, I think you could do far worse. Now it's going to be down to personal preference to decide whether or not you like the super crisp stark white of the original or the off-white grey of the new one. I personally do lean towards this version. I like the darker skin tone and I love the bluish green that they've used for the shading. The purple sections are also far more metallic. This guy pops in the display. The original one does too, but this guy just has a far more premium feel because the shading does blend in my opinion, a little bit better with the rest of the body. And he also is a lot more matte. As you can see with the original, he was a little bit plasticky and glossy, especially up here on his pecs. This guy just feels super high-end. He does come with less accessories, but that's going to have to be up to you to decide whether or not it'll prohibit you from picking up this release. As for the sculpted in detail, it's all exactly the same as the OG. The musculature is on point, and he's not using that newer 2.0 style of leg articulation, so he doesn't have multiple flaps at play. Everything is super clean. And of course, coming down to the toes, he even has his black toenails painted in. Around the back, you do have his big honkin' tail. Now, you only get one compared to the original that came with two, but I'm totally fine with that. This works perfectly. It pegs into place, and it's not too heavy. I'm still able to get my Frieza standing. I am curious though, which of the two do you prefer? Is it the original for you or the new one? Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have Frieza alongside Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, and Frieza is drastically smaller, as he should be. That's one thing I really like about the Figuarts line, is they are sticklers for scale accuracy. You have massive figures like the Great Ape Vegeta or Broly, and then really small figures like Krillin or Frieza. There are a ton of different scales and sizes at play in the line, and as I said, that's something I really like. Just going over articulation. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I am willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt, it is on a ball joint at the base of the head and another at the base of the neck. Combined looking forward to there, looking back to there, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms will go up the full way, same thing going forward and back. Butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down. swivel at the bicep, a double bend at the elbow that does go past 90, and a regular Figuarts style wrist peg. The torso does have a ball joint at the midsection and another at the waist. Combined, a massive range forward and a ton going back, although you do get some gapping down below. Swivel and pivot side to side. The legs will go forward to there, they will go out to there, and there is also a swivel, but it's tucked up here at the top of the thigh. You do have a double bend at the knee that goes past 90, a hinge and swivel down here for the ankle, plus a hinge and swivel for the tail. Just wrapping up on 4th Form Frieza by Bandai Tamashii Nations. Going into this, to be honest, I wasn't particularly excited. I own the original version and I still really do like him. Plus, that version comes with far more stuff. This guy is a stripped back release, which I know isn't going to be what everyone is looking for. The figure himself, though, I think is a vast improvement. I have been pleasantly surprised. I think the shading looks better here. I like the darker tone of the figure himself. Plus, the head sculpts are awesome. They're way more accurate, there's a ton more detail here, and I think the expressions have been dialed in just right. Now, the original does use the same head sculpts, so it's a bit crazy that I'd be saying that, but the way they've printed the eyes and the details on those head sculpts has changed, and it's changed for the better. This is now my favourite 4th Form Frieza in the collection. Yes, even though he doesn't come with a ton of stuff. He comes with the essentials. I would have loved to have seen more, but this guy still gets my tick of approval. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is of course in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and an awesome reward system. While you're down there, check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.